in construction, the biggest thing is making the customer happy. So the customer is not, they're the biggest opportunity, but they also present the greatest challenges as far as for us. Like, you want to deliver them a quality product at the end of the day. And sometimes dealing with the public and dealing with customers, there can be challenges and headaches. That can create some of the, but we do really well. That's what we kind of build our business on, is referrals and customer satisfaction. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, in construction, people are they're spending a lot of money. It's their home, it's their property, it's important to them. They want a quality job. And so I don't want to say it's a challenge per se, but it is the biggest thing, the most important thing that you've got to get right, that if you get it wrong can become a disaster.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Builder's Bible. I'm joined by my good friend, Fenn Allen. Fenn and I have been buddies. We're actually in each other's weddings. He's a good friend of mine.
Oh,
and
speaking of the Andrew Anna jug, it's on my back mantle. So
I love that.
From the wedding. Yep.
So ever since I've known Fenn, he's been climbing on roofs, and he finally started his own thing. So his company Fortress is, killing it. And so obviously on my new tear and my new kick, trying to understand construction and builders, he's someone I was eager to have on. So Fenn, thanks for joining us. My first question is, tell us the story of how you started Fortress. Like what led you to want to start it?
Yeah. So I've been in, like you said, industry even before you and I met. 2010, I got in doing what they call ladder assist, where basically we were a third-party inspection company that was contracted case by case, job by job, by insurance carriers to go out and do inspections on 2-story steep, high roofs that oftentimes an insurance adjuster, an employee of the insurance carrier, did not want to go climb on or wasn't comfortable accessing. And they could not necessarily trust a roofing contractor who had every incentive in the world to tell the insurance company this customer's got damage. So they wanted kind of an objective third party who was going to pay a flat rate regardless of damage. I did that with 3 different companies for about a decade, from 2010 to 2020. Right in the middle of COVID, that year, about May, I left and I joined another company. Now I left the ladder assist industry altogether, joined a roofing company with my good buddy that I've known since middle school. He's a strong Christian, solid believer. I trusted him. He had actually been a State Farm insurance adjuster. So he dealt with property claims and homeowners claims. And I actually did some ladder assist for him over the years. Long story short, joined on with him. We were there together, working for the owner of that company for about 2 years. After that season, the owner said, guys, I'm going to close up shop. I no longer have interest in this. I won't bore you with the backstory of why, but she was never, it was a lady. She was kind of the owner technically and legally, but was never running the show. She did it as a favor for somebody else. So come to find out, after 2 years of working for him, that was actually the back inner workings of this business. We took care of a lot of customers, learned a lot of things over those 2 years, but it was almost like a perfect, you could see the Lord's hand in it. We got together. I learned the industry. I was already comfortable with roofing and inspections, but now I learned the contracting side of it. And my business partner now and I, Patrick, worked there for 2 years. I made some mistakes, learned a lot of things, but she was like, guys, I'm going to close up shop. I'm going to move on. But here, you can still work with the same crews. You can keep your phone numbers. All the leads, and this is why she was able to do that, was because all the leads were coming from Patrick and I anyways for her business. So she really didn't have any value in the company anyways, because she realized if we left, the business is going to close. So she kind of handed it off to us. We started our own business at that time, September in 2022, Fortress Exteriors. And again, you could see the Lord's hand all over it. We literally rolled straight from the leads that we were already working in our pipeline, straight from the other company, seamlessly straight into our new company. We had the same repair crews, same install replacement crews, kept all those relationships. And it was such a seamless transition. We didn't have to overcome a lot of the headaches and challenges of a new startup going from scratch, we were able to roll in literally from the pipeline that we already had with all the lead generation that we already had straight into our new business. We literally
Hmm.
rebranded, started our own company, and yeah, we're coming up on 3 years, and it's been I mean, it's been a huge. It's good. It's done very well. We're very blessed, and we don't take that for granted. And it's so far so good. So, um,
What are some of the big challenges you guys are facing now? Like, what are some sticking points in your business or problems you're trying to solve?
I would say for us, I'm trying to think. So, like in construction, the biggest thing is making the customer happy. So the customer is not they're the biggest opportunity, but they also present the greatest challenges as far as for us. Like you want to deliver them a quality product at the end of the day. And sometimes dealing with the public and dealing with customers, there can be challenges and headaches. That can create some of the, but we do really well. That's what we kind of build our business on is referrals and customer satisfaction. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just in construction, people are going to, they're spending a lot of money. It's their home, it's their property, it's important to them. They want a quality job. And so I don't want to say it's a challenge per se, but it is the biggest thing that the most important thing that you've got to get right, that if you get it wrong can become a disaster.
Hmm.
And so far we've done really well at that. We have a pretty robust referral network between insurance agents, real estate agents, restoration companies, past customers. So we've got a pretty robust network of folks that give us direct, warm leads. So we're not doing a lot of cold calling. We're not going around neighborhoods knocking on doors. We don't spend a lot of time marketing or passing out flyers or doing anything like that because the referral network is pretty robust. And we
Hmm.
are both in the insurance industry prior to contracting. We have a lot of those connections. So I wouldn't say that's a huge challenge. I mean, right now, there was times in the past couple of years, which I think we've kind of solved for that now, but there was times in the past couple of years where the workload become overwhelming and the workflow. We'd be out there doing 7 to 10 inspections in a day, and then half of those, if not more, would turn into you need to now write an estimate, send photos, document all that, set follow up now. So and then the next day you do another 7 or 8. So it's a blessing and a curse. We're super busy, but it creates challenges of just time management. You've got to try to efficiently move these people through your funnel from initial contact to scheduling to appointment to inspection and estimate. And then if they proceed with any work, now you've got to do the workflow. And with just two guys doing all the inspections, all the estimating, all the invoicing, um, it could get a little overwhelming. Um, I'd say those are some of the biggest challenges, but we don't have a huge sticking point or like a headache point right now, if I'm being honest.
Well, it sounds like, I mean, just handling the work you do have and delivery. I mean, at a certain point, it just becomes delivering a good product and service to your client. So,
Absolutely, absolutely, and we're able to do that effectively. Now, again, as you get busier, there can be gaps, and then you're not
yeah.
delivering the quality that you want to deliver when you can be more hands-on with every customer because now you've got 4 customers that you're doing work for in any given day instead of one. So it's like you can't be as available for all 4. But we've got great crews, trusted partners that help, obviously do the work and the labor behind it, and guys that we've been working with for 5+ years now. So we've got a pretty solid streamline. And recently this year, January of 25, we actually hired a young guy, which I'd like to pick your brain on this question. It's turned out that it's worked out well, but I've heard 2 different maybe models in hiring. One, you hire somebody very green and that really has no experience, but you feel like could be a good communicator, responsible, a solid character, but they have no experience really in the field or what you're trying to do. And then you could go and hire, and that new hire would also require a lot of training and teaching, a lot of investment in that end. But you're not going to pay them as much because they're brand new. They don't have. You're not paying for top tier talent. Option two is you pay for that top tier talent right off the gate. You maybe have two weeks of bringing them in and just showing them the ropes for how your business operates, but they're immediately producing value.
Yeah.
Um, what is your we went with option one, and I'll kind of, I can tell you more about how that went and where we're at, but what is your kind of mentality?
Well, in a perfect world, it's both, right? So you'd like
Yeah.
to get someone with experience and drive, but more often than not, the times that I've made mistakes hiring, it's always been because I hired for something on their resume. Like
Mm,
they had 2 years of work experience in this industry, or they have a certain license. Now, when you get into, I think when you get into things like real estate or financial advisory work or something that requires some sort of licensing, yeah, to it's helpful for them to have those licenses, like, so you're not carrying the time and energy it's going to take. Like security 65 license is not, it's no, small feat. Like it'll take
yeah.
you 3 to 4 months to get that sucker. So but I always prefer, so when, and I would say the same thing for my virtual assistants. I could care less what is on their resume, because if you get a good one and you want them to learn something, you just tell them to go watch the damn trainings,
Hmm.
like, take something like, Builder Trend. I talked to a lot of contractors using Builder Trend. Like, I don't need the VA to know how to use Builder Trend, because I'm going to tell them to go to Builder Trend's training library and watch every freaking video on that tool and become an
Hmm.
expert in it. So if you find the right person, they'll do that. When we hire, we look at work ethic, drive, capacity. Those are three non-negotiables. And then the one that I really appreciate is initiative. So someone who takes initiative, and it's kind of like the Benham brothers use this analogy. You're walking by a guy who's, building a building, and you ask the first guy what he's doing. He's like, "Oh, I'm building this building." The second person's like, "Oh, I'm constructing an orphanage." And then the third guy's like, "I'm building this orphanage so that these kids can have a place to play and all these other things." Like, you want the third person, the person that has the vision
Mm,
and the initiative and the ownership of what they're doing, and is not just going to check in, check out, and cut a paycheck. And so in the Philippines, we've realized, and I say I want every one of my clients to have a Heather. So Heather is my EA. And the thing that's really unique in the Philippines is people that think ahead. So Heather will look at my calendar and she'll be like, "Andrew's too busy today. I'm going to move some of his meetings." Like, that is actually really rare in the Philippines. There's something about their culture. They're very like detail task oriented, but very few of them are like, "I'm going to take initiative to solve this problem," you know? So if you can find someone that has that and you can train them the other stuff, I would do that all day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what, so it's, I guess it's a little different because I'd say the biggest time drain for Patrick and I, my co-owner, is that we were the ones physically in the field, stopping at every house and doing the appointments. And then that requires drive time. We covered like an hour radius all around Charlotte. You drop a pin in
Yeah.
the middle of Charlotte, and we go an hour around that. So from
Yeah.
Gastonia, Rock Hill, all over, up into Kannapolis, Salisbury, Statesville. I mean, you can imagine there's a lot of driving. So you try to group those appointments as effectively and efficiently as possible. But at the end of the day, you're going to be driving 40,000 miles a year potentially, doing
Hmm.
500 appointments,
Hmm.
so if not more. And so for us, the biggest, I guess, go back to your first question, like what's your biggest pain point? It was literally having a physical body out in the field to go out and assess the leads that we were getting. And that's what we kind of solved for. We spent 6 months training this young guy Ryan, who's also a believer. Young guy, he'd been in kind of, he was doing window cleaning for a while, so he was available to function on a ladder, drive around, meet appointment times, keep on schedule. And we trained him for 6 months just doing roof inspections, like learning the industry, learning the terminology, learning what to look for, learning what damages are. And there was a big time investment in that, in just training him. He
Hmm.
was adding no value for 6 months. Now he's in the field by himself. And already there's been a huge free up of time and availability to be able to focus on some other things. Well, he's out there running appointments now. If he takes just one third of our appointments, that frees up, a huge amount of time over the week for Patrick and I both. And he's done a really good job. But it did take 6 months of training, and it took a lot of
Hmm.
investment to make sure that he was going to be up to the task, as opposed to hiring somebody who had been in the roofing industry for a decade, who could go out day one and sell jobs. But you're going to pay that guy far greater salary than somebody brand new. And it's going to be hard to bring them into your culture and your way of doing things because they've already kind of been trained up doing their own way for a decade. So
Yeah.
that's where we settled on somebody new, a young guy, new talent. But to all your points, I can't remember the three, but he's capable, he's driven, he's bought into our culture, similar like belief system. So he's eye to eye with us on how we want to operate and what our end goal is and how we want to treat customers. So
Hmm. Well, let's put some golden handcuffs on Ryan with a permanent life insurance policy
yeah.
owned by the company.
yeah.
Let's do that next.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you guys using AI, and where do you feel like you could be using it that you're not?
So I've been thinking about ways we could use it more. I probably use it more than anybody else so far. Um, but I really only use it to, sometimes I'll use it to write reports. Oh, I use it all the time. So if I go out to a real estate inspection and I do a report, I need to generate photos. So I got to take the photos myself, generate a report with that. But then there's always like a page long description of what you saw. So I'll go
Yep.
into Chat GPT or whatever and put it into AI and do a poorly written, bad punctuation, just throw it in there as fast as I can with all the details that are important. And then it creates a nice, detailed, well written, and I'll proofread it, but it's usually very solid. So that's that's a good example of about as much AI as we are using right now because our scheduling's done through a software called AccuLinks. So we have our calendars. You can upload photos. You got individual jobs for every lead that comes in. You put all their information in, their address. You can upload photos. You can upload estimates. All those things in AccuLinks. It tracks job from initial entry into our our, our leads to the point where you close it out. And then we've got because we're so directly related with like physical reality, we're not operating at like a high level of intellectual information per se. It's like I got to go out to your house, identify where that leak is coming, and I only can do that by physically getting on your roof and identifying the issue. I mean, I have to go do that, and then I have to write an estimate, and then we have to physically go and do the work, or we're not going to get paid. So I've looked for opportunities to speed up my office work in estimating, report generating, those
Yeah.
types of things with AI. But I, there's probably some software out there that could maybe optimize our schedules more efficiently, but
Yeah.
then it would still require us to contact those customers. Maybe
Yeah.
we could get an AI to contact customers in some way. Well, we've got a lady that does that. Um, so I guess I'd be open to opportunities of where AI could be utilized in what we do more, but I feel like I'm using it to the maximum ability that we have for our industry and where we're at.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's more tools that'll be developed where we could be more efficient. And hey, this is my price point. This is what I need. Write me an estimate with a bullet point breakdown of everything that's going to be going into it to present to the customer. So it takes me 2 minutes to write an estimate as opposed to 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, so, but that's about, we're not very AI savvy or using it as a huge tool right now. Also being aware that it is a tool that's going to be continuously growing, and I think anywhere you can leverage it is a huge value add to the business.
What was your guys' total sales last year, and what's your goal for this year?
So gross sales last year was like 3.7 million. I think we're right now we are literally one for one where we were at last year at this same time. Um, we've got just about the same amount of leads. The big thing with roofing and construction, at least for roofing in particular, is like it's a lot of storm and weather related um, drivers behind need. So if you're not getting a lot of inclement weather, any hailstorms, heavy windstorms, heavy downpours and rains, sometimes a roof that has some flaws, those flaws are not getting exposed when there's not types of weather events like that. So if you're having a drier season, not a lot of storms, there's just not going to be as much demand or need for some of that roof work. So there is a component that is very weather related. At the same time, so yeah, this year, I mean, the goal would be 4 million this year to go from
Yeah.
3.7 last year try to get to 4 million. Again, I think it's still well within our ability to get to that point. Um,
Mhm.
but there are going to have to be some weather factors that play into that. Um, so that, yeah, that's the goal. Try to hit 4 million this year
I love it.
in gross revenue.
What's one thing we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
Um, I know you had
Business,
that
faith.
list. Yeah, you had, yeah, either one of those. Well, I will say that. I do want to say, I don't know if anybody that listens to this may be considering like, hey, I want to start my own business. Does that mean I get a partner or I do it on my own? Obviously, there's huge benefits to both. I will say like a partnership can either be the greatest blessing and advantage to your startup, your new business, or it can be the greatest hindrance. And in our case with Patrick, who's a solid, and this gets also into the faith, is that he's a strong believer. He's a family man, married. He's got 4 kids. He's a reformed guy, so you'd probably appreciate that.
I like this guy.
Yeah, yeah. You actually probably you might even know him. He went to Hickory Grove North for
Hmm.
a while.
Hmm.
Um, Long story short, though, I trust him implicitly. I know that he goes out to an appointment. We have as much a chance of getting that job, if not better, if I as opposed to me being out there. So I
Hmm.
trust it, and I trust his work ethic. He's not sandbagging or not putting forth the effort. He's carrying his load, and I know he's going to treat the customers right. He's going to hold up to the ethical standard. He's going to add value no matter if we do the job or not, just by educating the customer on the inspection that he does. He's going to treat people with respect. He's not going to do anything shady or try to steal money from the business. So it's like a lot of the major things that can really tear apart a partnership. Patrick and I are blessed enough that we kind of take those things for granted. The only
Yeah.
things that we really have are more personality. Like we agree on all of the major like principles, the Christian principles of running the business together. We have the same vision for what we want from the business and how to operate the business. I'd say the only things that we ever run into is personality differences, where it's like he might do things this way and talk to somebody about the situation in this way, where I might do it this way, which
Yeah.
honestly, I wouldn't even say is a detriment. It's more of a, because I'm probably less fearful and less aware of potential risks and pitfalls, where he's got a better radar for that. So he'll pick up on things like, hey man, we're exposed here. We need to make sure we're doing this differently so that we don't have a problem here. Where I'm like, oh man, I didn't even think of that problem. Like I'm rainbows and butterflies, but we balance each other out. So I would say that. So for us, the partnership has been a huge value add. Like I would not want to be doing this on my own. We talk daily, pick each other's brains, discuss stresses or frustrations from the day. So it's like for us, doing it together has not come with a lot of the pitfalls and headaches that partnerships can sometimes have, but it's just added a lot of value. And if I'm on vacation, I know he's there to keep it rolling, and then vice versa. If he's on vacation, and so for us, it's been a huge blessing. But I've heard horror stories also where a partnership can absolutely go disastrously wrong. So I mean, it's very much like selecting a spouse. You do not want to get in
Hmm.
business with somebody that you don't trust or that
Hmm.
you think is going to take advantage of you, or that you can't, when you're turned away, know that they're going to be doing the right thing. And
Hmm.
and that's a huge blessing, and something that again I would not want to be doing this on my own per se. It's been a huge value add to have him as a partner, and so far so good. So 3 years in.
Hmm.
So
Well, if people want to learn more about who you are and what you do, where can they go?
um, they can check out our website. I mean, if they live in the Charlotte market and they have any roofing needs or gutter needs or exterior repair needs, then obviously we'd love to help them out. But other than that, I don't post a lot of content anywhere. That's something that maybe we could also improve on. We're not great at marketing online or having an online presence. We are very much referral based. Our whole network of all the business we do are basically warm leads referred to us directly by prior customers, real estate agents, kind of like I mentioned before. Um, so yeah, if they live in the Charlotte market and need help, and then I kind of enjoy um, even consulting with people that we might not be able to do the work, but help give them insights on like, yeah, that roof estimate you received looks pretty good. This is how this is going to work with insurance, so on and so forth. So
What
Anyway,
out of curiosity, who are good referral partners for you? So you said realtors.
realtors. So for realtors, it's a huge value add to them as a realtor because one, the home inspections are not oftentimes detailed on the roof. They're going to
Yeah,
be more detailed on all the mechanical systems, the ground level stuff. But if the roof's steep or 2 stories in any way, those home inspectors are not going to get on the roof. And they'll
yeah.
flag potential issues sometimes from the ground, but you really want a roofing contractor that's going to get up on the roof. And then, number one, be honest with you. You don't want them to try to be manipulating the realtor or their clients into getting work done that doesn't need to be done. And you also
Mm,
want to protect your buyers from buying a house with a roof that's absolutely disastrous. So, and we'll do those inspections for realtors for free. We'll go out, do the assessment, put a report together, photos, and we do it for free because it's an opportunity for us. There's always something, generally speaking, on a roof that needs either a tune-up or a full roof replacement. We add value to the real estate agents through that, and we do a good bit of work with them. Restoration companies a lot of times will only deal with interior renovations, like, hey, we had a water leak, we're going to do mitigation, dry out, drywall work, but the roof issue is a problem, and they'll refer us. So we solve their problem by doing quality work for the customer that they're dealing with. Their reputation's on the line. We come in and do a good job. And then insurance agents, they get so many calls from customers all the time saying, hey, I had a roofer come by. He told me I had storm damage. I'd like to file a claim. Well, sometimes there is legitimate damage and they should file a claim. But more often than not, there's a door knocking roofing company who's trying to drive as much business as possible by telling everybody in the neighborhood they've got storm damage. And if we can go out on a warm lead from an insurance agent, say, look, before you file your claim, we got a contractor that we really trust. Let them do an inspection, see if you've got damage or not. And then we'll go out and add value to the agent by giving their customer quality inspection and being honest with them. Like, yes, you should file a claim, or no, don't file a claim. They're going to get denied. Like, there's no damage here. Saves the insurance agent a headache from having a customer who's now frustrated that their claim got denied because they heard a roofer told them they had damage when they didn't. So those are the three biggest, I'd say, lead generators: real estate agents, restoration companies, and then insurance agents. The other one being just referrals from past customers. So,
well, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and I want to chop it up a bit more. But Fenn, thanks for joining. And
yeah,
anybody that's
brother.
interested, Fenn mentioned you could reach out to him. He's pretty quiet on socials, but he's a really easy guy to talk to and get a hold of. So, yeah, if you're thinking about starting a business or want to ask more about partnership or roofing or anything in particular, or just faith, he's a great guy to talk to. So, thanks.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.